Life was never meant to be easy. That was never part of the agreement. You are not dropped into this world with a promise of comfort. You are not sent here to be coddled. You are not entitled to warmth, to approval, or to peace. You were given something better, a will, a mind, and the power to endure. That's all you ever needed. That's all the Stoics ever used. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, and still he wrote in his journals, "Do not pray for a lighter load, pray for a stronger back." This is the essence. This is the truth most run from. But the Stoic walks straight into it, because he understands. The point of life is not to avoid the weight. It is to carry it, and with grace, with strength, with silence. So stop wishing life would be easier. It won't be. And that is not a tragedy. It is an invitation, because when life gets harder, you get sharper, you get quieter, you get stronger. Not because the world will spare you, but because you will no longer need it to. You will face rejection and remain whole. You will feel pain and remain present. You will lose what you love and remain upright. Because what you build inside yourself cannot be touched by anything outside. But you must build it. You must build discipline when your body begs for comfort. You must build clarity when the fog of fear thickens. You must build virtue when vice whispers sweet relief. And you must build it daily. Without applause, without reward, without the promise that it will ever get easier. Because the Stoic does not build strength for ease. He builds it for truth. The truth that life will betray you, that people will fail you, that your body will break, that your time will run out. And the question is not whether you can escape this. You can't. The question is, who will you become because of it? Will you whine, complain, collapse, or will you rise? Not once, not with drama, but every day, with quiet certainty. The Stoic rises, because he does not wait for the path to clear. He clears it. He does not hope for ease. He trains for war, and life is war. Not with others, but with the self, with the weakness inside you, with the excuses, with the need to be understood, with the fantasy that someday things will finally be easy. Let that idea die. Bury it, burn it, and in its ashes, build the only thing worth building. Strength, not muscles, not image, not performance, but strength of character, strength of presence, strength of principle. This is what separates the Stoic from the crowd. Not that he suffers less, but that he suffers rightly. He uses adversity as iron to sharpen his mind. He uses betrayal to cut away attachment. He uses failure to refine his focus. Everything becomes fuel. Everything becomes a lesson. Everything becomes an opportunity to become harder to kill. You think the goal is peace? No. The goal is to be the kind of man who remains peaceful when there's no peace around him. That is Stoic peace. Earned, not given. Held, not hoped for. And you only earn it one way, by facing life exactly as it is, and refusing to flinch. So stop begging for softer days. Start training for what is coming. It's already on its way. Storms don't ask permission, they arrive. And the Stoic does not argue with the weather. He fortifies the foundation. He strengthens the frame. He becomes the mountain the wind cannot move. This is the philosophy, this is the path, this is the point. Life will not bend, so you must rise, not with comfort, but with command. Not with ease, but with excellence. Not with fantasy, but with fortitude. And when the next blow lands, because it will, you will not crumble. You will not scream. You will not ask, "Why me?" You will say, "Because I was built for this." They told you to dream big, to chase what excites you, to manifest ease, abundance, flow. But the Stoics, they said something else. They said, prepare. They said, harden yourself. They said, life is not a dream, it is a test. And the only man who passes is the one who stops asking for a different exam. There is nothing wrong with desiring comfort, but there is everything wrong with needing it. Because the moment you need comfort, you have surrendered your freedom. The moment you need approval, you've handed your peace to strangers. The moment you need ease, you've made strength optional. The Stoic removes these dependencies, not because he's cold, but because he's clear. He clears the clutter from his mind, he clears the noise from his heart, he clears the lies from his expectations. And what's left is a man who can stand when everything around him falls. He does not crumble at rejection. He does not tremble in uncertainty. He does not rage at fate. He accepts. He adapts. He advances. Because that's what it means to be strong. Not that life doesn't hurt, but that it cannot own you. It cannot make you bitter. It cannot bend you into someone you are not. It cannot take from you what you have fortified within. And that fortification begins with one thing: refusing to wish for ease. It begins when you stop saying, "If only things were different," and start saying, "Let it come, I'll handle it." That's not arrogance, that's preparation. The Stoic prepares, not with fantasy, but with fire. He wakes each day and expects hardship. He expects delays, betrayal, insult, exhaustion. He welcomes them, because they are his training ground. He does not ask for mercy from life. He sharpens himself against it. He practices misfortune. He rehearses loss. He visualizes pain. So when it comes, he is not surprised. He is not shaken. He is ready, and that readiness is the source of his peace. A fragile man needs circumstances to go his way. A Stoic needs only himself. That is the difference. One prays for the wind to calm. The other learns to sail in the storm. That's what makes the Stoic dangerous. He is not easily pleased, but he is not easily broken. He knows how to suffer well, how to carry pain without complaint, how to bury the dead without burying himself. He does not need pity. He does not crave rescue. He does not demand fairness. He endures. He learns. He transforms. He takes the worst of life and makes it fuel. Because in every hardship, he sees the forge, and in every moment of suffering, he sees the invitation. Become unshakable. And so he does, not through force, but through practice. He practices silence when provoked. He practices courage when afraid. He practices restraint when tempted. And over time, he becomes something the world cannot touch. Not because he avoids pain, but because he has made peace with it. He no longer says, "I hope it gets better." He says, "I hope I get stronger." Because stronger is always possible. Easier is not guaranteed. And strength, the kind the Stoic builds, is not found in ease. It is found in adversity. So if life has become harder, good. It means the next level of you is waiting. It means the time has come to rise, not with noise, not with rage, but with poise, with preparation, with that sharp, silent resolve that says, "You will not break me. You will shape me." Pain is not your enemy. It is your instructor. It teaches you what comfort never could. It strips you down. It removes the illusions, and it leaves you face to face with the truth. You are weaker than you thought. But you can become stronger than you imagined if, and only if, you stop resisting the pain. If you stop asking, why me, and start asking, what now? Because life doesn't care about your plans. It doesn't care what you hoped for. It doesn't owe you closure. It doesn't promise safety. The Stoic knows this. And because he knows it, he trains himself to be ready for anything. Not once, but every day. He doesn't wake up expecting ease. He wakes up expecting resistance. And when it comes, he doesn't fight it. He absorbs it. He uses it. Discomfort, it sharpens him. Failure, it humbles him. Loss, it clarifies him. Loneliness, it strengthens his self-reliance. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is cursed. Everything is opportunity. Opportunity to become harder, calmer, clearer. The Stoic does not wish for things to go his way. He wishes to remain unshaken, no matter which way they go, because strength is not about controlling events. It's about mastering your response to them. And that mastery begins in the mind. You do not control the world, but you control what it means to you. You control how you think about it, how you speak about it, how you move through it. That is where your power lives, not in changing the storm, but in standing through it. And that standing begins with a decision. I will not ask for ease. I will not beg for peace. I will not wait for permission. I will meet life on its terms and remain unmoved. Because if you only perform when it's comfortable, if you only show up when you're motivated, if you only act when it's fair, then you are not free. You are a slave to circumstance. But the Stoic breaks that chain. He moves with purpose, not mood. He speaks with clarity, not panic. He holds his line, even when the ground shakes. And that line is virtue, not preference, not pleasure. Virtue, to live with courage, not comfort, to live with discipline, not indulgence, to live with justice, even when others are unjust. Because that is what makes a man indestructible. Not the world's applause, not the world's agreement, but the ability to remain principled when everything pulls you away from it. And everything will pull you. The pain, the fear, the betrayal, the moments where quitting would be easier, where collapsing would feel justified, where anger feels like power and silence feels like surrender. But the Stoic does not follow feeling. He follows reason. He follows his higher self. Even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. Because the man who can hold his virtue in pain, that man is rare. That man is dangerous. That man cannot be broken. And the world does not know what to do with such a man. So it will try to provoke him, to test him, to drag him into its chaos. But the Stoic has trained for this. He does not rise to every insult. He does not chase every reward. He does not answer every call. He stays where he is, grounded, anchored, alive, not in the noise, but in the stillness beneath it, because he knows ease makes you soft. Suffering makes you see, and the ones who see clearly are the ones who survive. No more than survive. They lead. They shape. They endure without needing applause. They love without needing control. They serve without needing recognition. Because their foundation is not the world. It is themselves. And that foundation is built in fire. Not in theory. Not in comfort. In fire. You either step into it willingly, or you will be dragged into it unprepared. So choose. Choose to suffer now in discipline, or suffer later in regret. Choose to rise now in silence, or fall later in chaos. Choose to stop asking life to be easy and start becoming the man who doesn't need it to be. You say you want to be strong, but strength is not given. It is taken from pain, from repetition, from refusal. Refusal to be ruled by emotion, refusal to chase comfort, refusal to be anyone but yourself, no matter the pressure. That refusal is the root of all Stoic power, because the Stoic does not rely on good days. He does not build his identity on how life treats him. He does not wait for inspiration to act right. He chooses what is right, and he does it, whether he feels like it or not, whether he is seen or not, whether the outcome is fair or not. He has made one commitment: to be unshakable, to live by principle, to use every trial as training. And when the trial hits, as it always does, he does not scream, he does not curse, he does not collapse. He breathes, he remembers who he is, and he steps forward. Because the world will not stop testing you. It will test your patience, it will test your purpose. It will test your belief that virtue matters. But the Stoic already expects this. He doesn't demand that people be just. He trains to remain just, even when they aren't. He doesn't demand that life be fair. He prepares to remain fair, even when life is brutal. Because if your values break under pressure, they were never values, they were preferences. And preferences do not survive the battlefield. Only principles do. The Stoic is not concerned with how things feel. He is concerned with what is right. And this clarity, it does not come from theory. It comes from scars, from nights alone, from walking through fire without fanfare, and emerging not bitter, but purified. He does not speak of how hard life is. He speaks of how to respond to it. He does not entertain pity. He respects those who carry pain with dignity. He admires not ease, but endurance. Because that is the true mark of a human being. Not how much he achieves, but how much he holds together when everything is falling apart. And everything will fall apart. Eventually. That is the rule of this world. What you love will die. What you built will fade. What you hoped for will break. And still, you must stand. You must breathe. You must continue. Because strength is not optional. Not if you want to live with honor. Not if you want to meet death with your eyes open. The Stoic does not pray for more time. He trains to make use of the time he has. He does not beg the gods to change the world. He disciplines himself to rise within it. This is the practice. This is the work. And it never ends. There is no finish line for virtue. No summit where peace becomes permanent. No medal for resilience. Only this. A quiet mind, a steady hand, and a will that does not waver, even when the sky falls. Most men collapse when they are not praised. The Stoic trains to remain solid, when he is alone, when he is misunderstood, when no one claps, because applause is not the point. Character is, and character is not built by accident. It is built by action, by habit, by the disciplined refusal to do what is easy, in favor of what is necessary. The Stoic does not chase strength. He becomes it, one decision at a time, one quiet act at a time, one day of not giving in. This is not glorious. This is not glamorous. It is not dramatic. It is slow. It is brutal. It is invisible, but it is real, and it is yours. If you stop wishing life would change and start changing how you meet it. Endurance is not accidental. It is not inherited. It is built deliberately, in moments when giving up would be reasonable. That's what separates the Stoic from the rest. Most men endure when it's convenient, when there's an audience, when the outcome is guaranteed. But the Stoic endures in the dark, when no one is watching, when no one will praise him, when the path is lonely and the reward unclear, because he knows this. Your strength is measured by how little it depends on what is outside you, not on weather, not on mood, not on justice, but on the simple decision, I will not stop. That is the most powerful sentence in any language, not shouted, not advertised, just lived, over and over, through pain, through silence, through seasons where everything breaks and no one reaches out, and you remain, not because it's easy, not because it's fair, but because the alternative, collapse, is unacceptable. The Stoic doesn't wait for ideal conditions. He moves under pressure. He acts when it's unclear. He speaks when it would be safer to stay silent, and stays silent when speaking would only feed the fire, because he knows when to fight and when to hold. He knows the difference between impulse and principle, between flinching and standing, between movement and mastery, and that knowledge, it comes from trial, from failing and rising, from watching weakness in the mirror, not with shame, but with responsibility. The Stoic does not blame. He does not outsource his power. He does not wait for rescue, because he has already seen what that leads to: dependency, bitterness, decay. So instead he carries it, the whole weight, even when it's unfair, even when it hurts, because he understands. The burden is not the enemy. The burden is the tool. It is the barbell for the soul. It is the pressure that creates clarity. It is the voice that whispers, "You're not there yet. Keep going." And the Stoic listens. He does not argue. He does not wish the barbell was lighter. He trains his grip. You think strength is loud. Watch a man hold the weight of his world and say nothing. Watch him bleed internally and still show up. Watch him walk into the fire, not with rage but with discipline. That is strength, unseen, uncelebrated, but eternal. Because when the storm ends, the strong are still standing, and no one remembers how loud you screamed. They only remember that you didn't run. This is why the Stoic trains, not to impress, not to dominate, but to survive rightly, to rise when others fall, to see clearly when others panic, to act rightly when others react emotionally. Because if he is to lead, even if only himself, he must earn that role in silence, in repetition, in pain. And so he sharpens himself. Not once. Every day, every breath, every hard moment he does not escape. Others fantasize about being strong. The Stoic bleeds for it, trains for it, sacrifices for it, because he knows what's coming. The moment where everything collapses. The betrayal you didn't see. The death you can't delay. The failure that steals what you built. And when it comes, he will not ask, "Why me?" He will nod and step forward, because he was built for this, because he did not waste time wishing for softness. He used every hard thing as an opportunity to fortify the only thing that matters, his will. Loss is coming. It may arrive with silence or with thunder, but it will come. You will lose people. You will lose dreams. You will lose parts of yourself you thought were permanent. And in that moment, the question will not be, "How do I avoid this?" but rather, "How will I respond?" Because there is no escape from pain. There is only preparation. And the Stoic prepares, not with fantasy, but with fire. He does not shield himself from the inevitability of suffering. He stares it down. He practices death, he rehearses failure, he meditates on loss, and not to invite it, but to disarm its surprise, so that when the blow lands, he does not break. He absorbs, he adjusts, he continues, because continuation is the only proof of strength. Not that you felt nothing, but that you allowed nothing to own you. The Stoic does not cry for guarantees. He finds stability in the unstable. He builds clarity in the storm. He carries death on his shoulder like a familiar, and he walks forward anyway. This is not detachment. It is devotion to what is real, to what endures, to what no one can take. Virtue, character, presence, choice. These are the Stoics' treasures, because they do not rust. They do not die with the body. They are who you are when everything else is taken, and everything else will be taken. So let it go early, not by abandoning life, but by seeing it clearly. The Stoic does not run from the truth. He runs toward it, because truth is the only place strong enough to stand. And the truth is, you were not promised ease. You were not promised reward. You were not promised more time. You were given a mind. You were given reason. You were given today. Use them to act, to endure, to build strength where others crumble, to speak truth where others flatter, to remain still while others beg for control. That is the life of the Stoic. Not a life without grief, but a life without surrender. He mourns, but he does not collapse. He bleeds, but he does not scream. He fears, but he does not flee, because inside him is a flame, fed not by ease, but by discipline, and it burns clean, without smoke, without spectacle, without need for applause. That is why the Stoic is misunderstood. He does not grieve like others. He does not hope like others. He does not dream of safety. He dreams of strength, because he knows the strong are not those untouched by hardship. They are those untouched within hardship. The world wants you soft, reactive, dependent. The Stoic chooses otherwise. He chooses edge. He chooses solitude. He chooses to carry what is his, and nothing more. No blame, no excuses, no delays, just responsibility. Because only what you take responsibility for can you change. And the Stoic changes himself. That is his revolution. Not against systems, not against enemies, against weakness, against illusion, against the voice that says, you deserve better. No, you deserve nothing. You owe everything. And that is what makes you free. Because once you let go of entitlement, life becomes clean. And you become clear. You do what must be done, not what feels good. You become who you must become, not who is praised. And in that space, in that fire, the real strength is born, the kind no one sees, the kind no one claps for, the kind that remains when the lights go out. They will betray you, not just enemies, friends, family, people you would have bled for. They will forget what you gave. They will twist what you said. They will project their fears onto you and blame you for their pain. And when it happens, the average man collapses. He becomes bitter. He becomes loud. He becomes like them. But the Stoic does not follow them into that fire. He walks through it. But he does not become it. Because betrayal is not a reason to change who you are. It is a reason to deepen your discipline. You do not hold the world responsible for its shadows. You strengthen your light. You do not beg for justice from unjust people. You become just, even in silence. That's the weight the Stoic carries. Not just grief, not just pressure, but the clarity of never being fully understood and still showing up, still doing the right thing, still walking alone, when solitude is the only companion left with integrity. This is what separates the strong from the loud. The Stoic does not tell you how much he's carrying. He just carries it. He doesn't ask for credit, because virtue is its own reward. And the world has no trophy for the man who refuses to break, so be it. The Stoic does not walk for reward. He walks for alignment. His peace is not the absence of pain. It is the presence of clarity. Clarity that everything can be taken except how you respond. And in that there is total control. You can lose your reputation, but you cannot lose your character, unless you give it away. You can lose your love, but you cannot lose your ability to live with love, unless you replace it with bitterness. You can lose everything, and still keep the one thing that matters, your ability to stand in truth alone. That is where the Stoic finds power, not in being right, not in being heard, but in being whole, even in isolation. And this is the paradox. He becomes unshakable by walking straight into what shakes others: loneliness, loss, betrayal, silence, the void. Where most seek escape, he seeks refinement. Where most numb the pain, he studies it. Where most ask, "How do I fix this?" he asks, "How do I remain myself in this?" Because you don't get stronger by changing the fire. You get stronger by burning better, and he burns clean. No blame, no panic, no noise, only presence, only the work, only the quiet fire that turns pain into precision. He knows the end is coming, and he is not afraid, because he has made death his teacher. Memento mori. Remember, you must die. The Stoic carries this not as a curse, but as a compass. It reminds him, this matters, this hour, this breath, this choice. And nothing is worth trading your integrity for. Not praise, not revenge, not even love. Because love without virtue is dependency, and strength without virtue is tyranny. So he holds both, but never at the cost of his center. That is why people do not understand him. He is not cold. He is disciplined. He is not detached. He is focused. He is not emotionless. He simply refuses to be ruled by the chaos of emotion. He feels deeply, but moves wisely. He hurts privately, but lives publicly with steadiness. And this makes him rare. This makes him dangerous. This makes him the kind of man storms pass by. Not because they pity him, but because they respect him. Because a man who cannot be baited, cannot be controlled. A man who does not need you to agree with him, cannot be manipulated. And a man who has buried his hopes and still shows up with virtue, that man is free. Freedom is not out there. It is not written in laws. It is not granted by leaders. It is not found in circumstances. It is forged inside, where no one can touch it, where no one can give it, where no one can take it. This is what the Stoic understands. That freedom is not doing what you feel like. Freedom is doing what is right, even when you feel the opposite. Because what you feel will betray you. It will seduce you into comfort. It will lure you toward weakness. It will whisper that virtue can wait, but the Stoic refuses. He does not consult his feelings before he acts. He consults his principles, his training, his mission, and so he becomes something rare, something whole, something others look at and do not understand, because they have not yet seen what it means to truly command yourself. Self-command is the root of all Stoic freedom, not the command to dominate others, but the command to not betray yourself, to not say what you don't believe, to not act against your conscience, to not lower your standards because you feel tired, angry, afraid. It is this, and only this, that makes a man untouchable. Not his money, not his armor, not his reputation, but his refusal to act without alignment. And that refusal must be practiced, because every day the world tempts you to compromise. Every moment it offers you an easier way. Just lie, just conform, just quit. But the Stoic does not trade long peace for short pleasure. He does not trade who he is for what he wants right now. He does not seek freedom through indulgence, but through discipline, because he knows you are only free when you no longer need what can be taken. If you need praise and you are not free, if you need victory, you are not free. If you need others to see your worth, you are not free. But if you act rightly, live simply, train daily, expect nothing, and hold your line, you are free even in chains, even in grief, even in the face of death, because your soul belongs to you, because your choices remain yours, because you did not abandon yourself when it mattered most. This is what gives the Stoic power and silence. This is what makes his stillness feel like a storm. Because nothing owns him, nothing shakes him, nothing enters him unless he opens the gate, and the gate is guarded by reason. So he sharpens it, he removes the fog, he questions his thoughts, he disciplines his reactions. He does not believe everything he feels. He does not follow every impulse that knocks on the door. He is not his emotion. He is not his fear. He is not the broken memory of his past. He is what he chooses to do now, and again now, and again when it's hardest. That repetition is the road, that practice is the path, and the freedom at the end of that path is not loud, it is silent, clean, firm, not the freedom to escape pain, but the freedom to look pain in the eye and remain unshaken. This is the freedom no one talks about, the one that doesn't show on the outside, the one that doesn't need expression, because when you have it, you don't need to prove it, and when you don't, nothing else will satisfy you. So the Stoic does not chase more, he chases mastery of his habits, of his speech, of his inner world, and through that mastery, he becomes what no crisis can destroy, a man at peace, not because the world gave it, but because he built it. Victory is not always visible. Sometimes it looks like keeping your mouth shut when provoked. Sometimes it looks like standing still when everything around you begs you to run. Sometimes it looks like taking the hit and choosing not to hit back, because the Stoic does not define victory like others do. He does not measure it by applause, by dominance, by the scoreboard. He measures it by one thing. Did I act with virtue? Not did I win? Not did they like me? Not did I get what I wanted, but was I the man I claimed to be even when no one would have blamed me for breaking? This is the unseen fight, the silent war, the one inside, and most will never win it, because they never enter it. They live on the surface, ruled by feeling, tied to comfort, obsessed with results. But the Stoic lives beneath that surface. He dives deep. He welcomes the darkness, and because he knows that's where clarity lives. He trains not for comfort, but for command, not of others, of self. Because what is the point of conquering the world if you cannot conquer your own mind? What is the point of having everything if one insult can ruin your peace? What is the point of looking powerful if your inner life is chaos? The Stoic refuses this illusion. He does not decorate himself. He does not posture. He does not flex. He sharpens. He simplifies. He strips away until nothing is left but truth. No need for performance. No space for lies. No tolerance for compromise. And what remains is a man the world cannot seduce. A man who cannot be bribed with pleasure or bent by pain, because he has burned through it all. He has watched his comforts fall. He has let go of the need to win. And now, he simply lives right. Not because it will pay off, not because it will be admired, but because it is the only way to look death in the eye and not flinch. Memento mori. The Stoic does not avoid this truth. He repeats it daily, because it is the great clarifier, the great purifier, the filter through which every decision becomes clean. Will this matter on my deathbed? Will I be proud of this moment when time runs out? If not, he does not do it. If yes, he does not delay. This is urgency, not panic, but presence. The presence of a man who lives every hour as if it were his last chance to be virtuous. Because it is. Because every breath could be the final one. And the Stoic does not intend to waste it. Others wait for meaning. He brings meaning through action, through alignment, through the still unshakable commitment to principle over pleasure. He does not ask for a reward. He does not expect a result. He simply holds the line, and that line is what separates the disciplined from the desperate, the master from the victim, the man from the noise. You cannot fake this. You cannot buy it. You cannot borrow it. You cannot manifest it. You must build it. In fire, in silence, in repetition. You must hold fast when others shake. You must walk on when others quit. You must do what is right, even if no one sees it, especially if no one sees it. Because virtue that depends on visibility is not virtue. It's theater, and the Stoic plays no part. He does not audition for approval. He does not perform for applause. He lives rightly, he dies ready, and everything in between is training. In the end, there is only you. No titles, no recognition, no reward. Just the man in the mirror and the truth you can't outrun. Did you live with discipline? Did you act with courage? Did you hold your line, even when the world gave you every excuse to betray it? That's the final inventory. And the Stoic prepares for it now, not tomorrow, not someday. Now, because he knows every moment is an echo. Every choice is a seed. Every silence is a chance to fortify or to fracture. And he refuses to fracture, even when the weight gets heavier, even when no one walks beside him, even when the only answer from the universe is silence, because he does not live by response. He lives by command, the command of his own soul, the command of reason over rage, of principle over pleasure, of duty over desire. He does not ask, "What do I feel like doing?" He asks, "What would the strongest version of me do right now?" And he does that. Quietly, deliberately, relentlessly, Because the Stoic does not hope for the world to become worthy. He trains himself to be worthy of the world, and even when the world proves unworthy, he remains, not because it's easy, but because it's right. And right action needs no audience. It needs no confirmation, it needs no result. It is its own reward. It is its own revolution. This is why the Stoic walks alone so often, not because he hates people, but because he refuses to betray truth for connection. He would rather sit in the cold with integrity than be warmed by the lies of comfort and compromise. He would rather be misunderstood than dishonest. He would rather be rejected than diluted. He would rather be silent than false. Because peace to him is not the absence of discomfort. It is the absence of contradiction. And he has trained for this peace, earned it, through thousands of small denials, through the decision, again and again, to do what is hard, instead of what is easy, to hold the line, instead of moving with the crowd, to die to himself, instead of living as someone he's not. This peace cannot be gifted. It cannot be inherited. It cannot be mimicked. It is the reward for walking the path and when no one walks with you, for building strength in silence when no one says thank you, for remaining principled when the world is selling its soul. It is rare. It is hard. It is holy, and it belongs to the Stoic. He does not shout. He does not chase. He does not beg. He simply is, steady, still, strong. He has buried his fear. He has burned his weakness. He has chosen suffering with integrity, over comfort with compromise, and he does not look back. Because to look back is to entertain regret, and regret is a symptom of deviation. The Stoic does not deviate. He rises. He returns. He remembers who he is, and even when the world forgets, and in remembering, he is reborn. Not softer, not safer, stronger, not emotionally reckless, but emotionally refined. Not reactionary, but resolute. Not numb, but unshakable. Because everything that could be lost has already been surrendered, and everything that cannot be taken is all that he has left. Character, calm, clarity. Not because life became easier, but because he became who he was meant to be. There is a silence deeper than words, deeper than thoughts, deeper than any suffering. It is the silence of acceptance, the silence of a man who has stopped resisting what is, and begun mastering how he meets it. The Stoic lives there. Not occasionally, not when convenient, but always. He has surrendered every fantasy of control. He does not expect life to explain itself. He does not demand reasons. He does not ask fate to be kind. He only asks himself, will I meet this moment with virtue or with weakness? And no matter the moment, the answer must always be the same. Because at the end of the road, you will not be asked how loud you screamed. You will not be asked how far you ran. You will not be asked how much you achieved. You will be asked, were you honest? Were you disciplined? Did you hold yourself to the standard you swore to uphold, even when no one else did? That is the final judgment. And the Stoic lives his whole life preparing for it. He does not prepare by trying to secure a future. He prepares by becoming immovable now. He does not look for comfort, he builds character. He does not ask for a map. He walks forward with clarity, because death may take his body, but it cannot take his soul, if he never gave it away. And that's the key. That's the line in the sand. To live in such a way that nothing owns you. Not fear, not praise, not loss, not hope, to walk through life ready to lose everything. I can still choose virtue. That is not detachment, that is mastery. You do not stop loving. You just love without clutching. You do not stop caring. You just care without dependence. You do not stop hurting. You just hurt without breaking. This is the Stoic's armor. Not invincibility, but integrity. He bleeds, but he does not beg. He weeps, but he does not waver. He walks alone, but he does not lose his way. And if this life should end before his task is done, he does not rage. He does not bargain. He nods, because he lived each hour as if it were final. Because he held nothing back. Because he compromised nothing essential. And that is all any man can hope for. Not a long life, but a worthy one. Not comfort, but clarity. Not safety, but strength. You want to be free? Then give up needing to be understood. Give up needing the world to agree. Give up needing more time. Just act rightly. Now. Without condition. That is the final strength. The strength to vanish with dignity. To disappear, not with resentment, but with completion. The Stoic trains for this ending. He imagines it. He lives in its shadow. He welcomes it, not because he seeks death, but because he refuses to be owned by fear of it. He has already said his last words in how he lived. He has already written his epitaph in the way he remained when others fell. And now, if death knocks, he will not flee. He will not stall. He will not plead. He will stand, like he always has. And he will say, I did not wish for ease. I did not beg for mercy. I became what life demanded and more. Then he will go, silently, cleanly, undefeated. No more lessons, no more striving, no more war. There comes a point in the Stoic's journey where there is nothing left to fix, nothing left to prove, nothing left to carry. Because the man has become the message. His life was his philosophy. Not his words, not his writings, but his choices, and now there is only silence, not emptiness and completion, not defeat, fulfillment, not death, arrival. He does not flinch, because he has already buried every illusion. He does not tremble, because his soul is in order. He does not cling, because he has already let go of everything but except who he chose to be. There is no fear in this silence, only stillness. A stillness forged through 1,000 days of discipline. A stillness born not from resignation, but from total responsibility. Because the Stoic knows you cannot control how long you live, but you can control how deeply, how bravely, how truthfully. You can control whether you meet every hour like a coward, or like a warrior who has nothing to hide. And that is what he did. He showed up when it was easy and when it wasn't, when he was strong and when he was broken, when he was seen and when he was forgotten. He showed up the same, quiet, ready, resolved. Because ease was never the goal. Comfort was never the pursuit. He wanted truth. He wanted strength. He wanted to become unshakable, and now he is, because everything that could be shaken has already been burned away, and what remains is final. This is the fruit of the path. Not praise, not perfection, but peace. Peace that was built, not found. Peace that was earned, not gifted. Peace that cannot be broken. Because it does, not depend on anything external. It lives in him. It was him. And now he lets go, not in despair, but in silence. Because the Stoic does not rage against the end. He respects it. He bows, not in surrender, but in understanding. He has done his part. He has walked through the fire without screaming. He has held the line when the world begged him to fall. He has lived as if each breath was his last. So when the last breath comes, it is no different. No panic, no bargaining, no regret. Only this, a slow exhale, a calm gaze, a quiet mind. And the final thought, I did not ask life to be easier. I asked to become stronger. And I did. Then, silence. Total. Sacred. Final.